Homies, we are back, and I am excited to be talking with you about this manga here, man. This is a Blue Giant, and it is written by none other than Shinichi Ishizuka. Okay, now I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm actually not super familiar with this author, but after this read, man, this guy's going down into legend status for me. This is a really, really good read, and for a lot of reasons. So, Blue Giant is quite a bit different from a lot of other series that I've read because it's based around music, music performance, and specifically jazz. So the main character in Blue Giant, just to give us a little bit of a background to go into like the review / analysis or discussion, our main character in the story is Dai, who's a basketball player. He's been playing basketball all through like elementary, middle, and into high school. And he's competitive, he enjoys playing, and while he may not be the best player or like a supernatural athlete or is naturally gifted, he perseveres and he really enjoys the game, right? And this point about natural talent becomes significant as the story progresses, and our boy Dai discovers music. So what happens is one day when he's hanging out with his best friend, right? His friend takes him to like a jazz show he just happens to have tickets to. Now his friend isn't like super into jazz or anything like that, but he thought it would be cool to check out, and his friend's watching it. They go to the concert hall, right? And they're sitting down and they watch the show, and his friend's like, oh, this is cool, but hey, you ready to head out? But Dai has a brain blast, right? He has an epiphany, and like his whole world changes from that moment on. Like jazz, it hits him, dude. Like it hits him deep, hits him right to the core. And from that moment on, when he first hears jazz, he decides that he wants to be a jazz musician, but not only a jazz musician, but the best jazz musician, right? So our character gets a little bit older, and he gets a tenor saxophone gifted to him by his older brother, who's a badass, man. His older brother's really cool people. As the story goes on, you learn that his brother is like working hard every day and saves up a bunch of money to get Dai the best tenor saxophone possible. And from the day that our boy Dai gets that tenor sax, he's out practicing every single day, man. He's out on the riverbank blowing into that horn. Pause. Now, we're not necessarily here for me to give you guys like a story synopsis, but I just kind of want to give you guys the groundwork of what the story is about. And to me, this manga is so special because it's for a few different reasons, right? One, just having a story about music through the medium of a manga is such a hurdle and a challenge, right? Like, because think of like music is, of course, right, it's an auditory medium. Like you're listening through your ears, and well, we know like arguably it's a full body experience and everything too, but like it's audible, right? Like you have to be able to hear it. But the way that the mangaka, right, the way Mr. Shinichi, Ishizuka and the rest of his team, right, the way that they managed to capture the essence, right, the raw essence of music and what it means to play and listen to music in the form of pictures and words it's something extremely special, man. And it takes a really talented person to do what they've done and to make reading a manga about music an entertaining experience. Like it blows my mind that they were able to translate something so like esoteric and so non-compatible with just written media into something this good, like you wouldn't expect that marriage between the music and like the written like page to work so well, but they managed to do it, man. And outside of just like the beautiful artwork and the way that they managed to get you to care about a music manga through pen and paper, the discussions that it brings up about music, and it hit home for me because a lot of people have found my channel right through the Yakuza karaoke parodies and stuff, right? And even before that, I was putting music on this page, like making different like beats and stuff like that and instrumentals, and music has been a massive part of my life, right? So like I'm sure that I'm already biased towards the story of Blue Giant, but the way that this manga goes into such depth about like the meaning of music, the significance of music, what it means to play, is so like, it's just such powerful and just moving discussions, you know, at the risk of sounding like a cornball, but like it is, man, like it's a subject that means something to me, because lately I've been doing a lot of thinking, right, about what is the purpose of music, or like what makes music good or quote unquote bad, right? And this came up in my discussion of Kanye West's album Donda in a previous video I made. But I think, to me, what good music and good art boils down to is that it makes the audience and the viewer feel something. You know, like there's a lot of music out there that is technically proficient, right? Like it's technically good, it's well produced, like all the beats and the harmonies are in the right place, things are mechanically well put together, but when you listen to it, it doesn't move you, you know, it doesn't make you feel, you know, it doesn't make you think, it doesn't make you move, it doesn't put you in the place that like a truly moving song or a truly moving instrumental or a truly moving piece of art can bring you to. And I think, to me, this is what separates good music from bad music. And Blue Giant really gets into this, man, and I haven't read a story that's done that before, and it makes me so happy, because to me this is almost where the discussion, like in real life, you can see the dichotomy between somebody like Kanye West and Drake, right? So like taking all the crap about each person out, right? Like this isn't trying to get into a personal discussion about either of these people being good or bad or anything like that, but just from a musical perspective, right? I feel like Drake is a mechanical beast in the hip hop game right now, right? Like he knows what beats to use. He knows what artists get people to listen to stuff. He knows what kind of flows people like. And then he puts these things on the track and then people are like, oh man, this is so hot. But when I listen to music by Drake, it's like, it feels almost like robotic, like he's phoning it in almost, you know, that like he's got like a formula that he's going off of, and he knows this formula works and it's gonna sell, and then he puts it out. And on the other hand, I feel like Kanye is so erratic, you know, and like this isn't to say that every new thing he's put out recently is something that I really vibe with. I wouldn't say that, but what I will say is that I feel like Kanye is, when he puts something out or when he's producing something, you can tell that it's coming from a real raw place for him, you know, where like it's the emotions and the things that you feel on whatever record he's putting out are things that he's really feeling and that he's trying to express to you. And there's something so significant to be said about that, to me, man. I think this is truly the purpose of music. It's like, it's that ability to convey who and what you are and what matters to you through the medium of like the rhythms, the notes and harmonies. It's your ability to convey those things through music that separates like a good artist from just like from the mediocre or whatever artist, you know. And I feel like there's just so much mediocre music out nowadays, you know, stuff that's like technically proficient and that's just like it sounds good to the ear, I guess, but there's no sense of feeling or emotion behind it, and I can't stand it. Like one of my favorite songs, man, is Okusenman, right, from it's the parody song for Wiley's Castle theme, and it's got this Japanese guy just on the track screaming like like I'll have to put like the cover of it, and it's just this Japanese guy, and he's like screeching and almost like just like he gets off key at some points. But that song, man, I remember listening to it, and like even now there are points where it can almost bring me to tears just because of like the raw emotion and intensity in this guy's voice, dude. He's like, you can tell that like he's yearning for like the past and is sympathizing for like the loss of his innocence and his youth. And like here I am getting into a music review of freaking Okusenman in the current year, but it's just to say, right, that like good music isn't always technically proficient. Good music isn't always pretty. Good music isn't always well put together or well produced, but it can still be good music because of how it makes you feel and the emotions that it gets from the audience or that it releases from you, you know. And Blue Giant really hits this home, man. There are panels that I'm going to be putting throughout this this review, this discussion, where like it hits on that very thing, where like one of the characters talks about like, well, it was love at first listen. Like now, like the playing wasn't technically good, but he talks about how music is a lot like romance. You know, it's not logical. It's not a logical thing. It's an emotional thing. It's a feeling thing, and you can't rationalize why you love someone, but you know that you do. And that's how it is with music, you know, where like you hear something and like you may not be able to specifically tell somebody else like this is why this is good, but you know when you listen to it, you're like, son of a bitch, dude. Like this is, it brings something out in you, right? It brings out something. And this story really manages to capture that feeling of like what it means to express yourself through the medium of music and how powerful it is. You know, like there's a panel that I think is going to stick with me forever in Blue Giant, where like Dai goes into this music festival and then he just starts playing his saxophone, and like Dai just has like, he has this big sound, right? And he like people, like when he hears it, like you're not gonna ignore it. And like some people love it, some people hate it, but like you cannot ignore the fact that this man is putting his heart and soul into every piece of music that he makes. And so like when he's playing, it has this panel of like these different people's faces who are listening to it, and just like every person it shows is somebody that he's impacted or affected through his music. And I thought that was just like so cool, man, because it really is how it works, right? Like you may never realize it, but like the art that you put out, the music that you make, the things that you paint, you may never know the amount of people that you're influencing or you're affecting through the art that you make, but you are making a difference, man. And like you can spark something in other people through putting pieces of yourself and pieces of your soul through your art. And Blue Giant just, it describes this phenomenon so well. So if I can't recommend this enough, like I recommend this to people who aren't music fans, but especially if you are somebody that has any sort of connection to music or has a passion for it in any way, check this out, dude. Like you got to. You'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't check this manga out. And I'm looking forward to like just looking into the other volumes and seeing how Dai grows as a musician. You know, like he's going from like this amateur that has like a lot of potential into this bit and an individual that has a big sound. But now it looks like they're trying to take the story in the direction where like, how do we grow Dai as a musician? Like learning the fundamentals. How do we help him grow so he can become that best musician? Or like, what does that even mean to become the best musician, you know? This manga just brings up so many important topics, you know, like it talks about how like so many people follow the path of music but fall off along the way or never make it. There's just too many discussions you can have about this story, man. So we're gonna end it here, and then I'm gonna be talking about Blue Giant some more for sure as I read the other volumes. But big recommendation on this story, man. Like do yourself a favor and check this thing out. I appreciate you guys listening. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have a connection to music, your relationship to music, if you've read this story before, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Take it easy.